So open your Weka Explorer and let's load the Pima Indians onset of diabetes dataset. So this comes with your Weka installation under the data directory. So this would be the diabetes file here. So click open. So the next thing we want to do is to visualize. And right on, we can notice that we have some problems here. Okay, so we can see pressure here and class have some data that are actually zero. We know this is impossible to have a weight of zero, right? Now, in the real world, we know that data is dirty, and this might present a challenge or a problem for some of the classification algorithms, right? They perform poorly when with the presence of, this corrupt or missing values. So, in fact, in this video, we're gonna look at how to handle or mark missing values, how to remove missing values, and lastly, how to impute these missing values. Okay, so using your favorite editor, we can see that this is a classification problem. So this whole row is called an instance. So up to here, it contains the medical details of one single patient. And the task here is to predict, right, whether this patient has an onset of diabetes within the next 5 years. We can see here, the prediction here is tested positive. Here is tested negative. So this is actually a classification problem, and more specifically, a binary classification problem with two possible outcomes. All right, so now that we know this, the first task here is to mark missing values. So we can go ahead and click choose filters and supervised attribute, and we can use the numerical cleaner, right? So go ahead and click on numerical cleaner. So click on that. And then we can also click on filter. So click here, filter, to configure the indices. So we know mass here is the index is 6. So we want to change that to 6, right? And then the other things we want to configure is the minimum threshold here. So here we want to, well, first we want to change the minimum default here. So we want to change all those instances to missing values. Okay, and then the minimum threshold here, we want to make it as close as 0. Okay, as you can see here, it's below which values are replaced by a corresponding default. Okay, so we want to change that to a minimum value for the attribute. So let's go ahead and say 0, 1.1 e minus 7. So we want to make it as close to 0 as possible. Okay, now that we have all this, so go ahead and click OK, and we can click on apply. So we go back to our attribute here. Okay, we can now see we have 11 missing values. So click on edit, and we'll see now. So click here to arrange that. We can see now we have these 11 missing values. Okay, so we've already marked all those parentheses of 0 to be missing values. Okay, good. So the next thing now, what if we wanted to remove these missing values? To do that, again, we go to filter, we go to unsupervised, and then this time around, we want to remove those instances or those values in our instances that have missing values. So click instance. And this time around, we're gonna use this filter, remove with values. Okay. So again, want to click on filter. Then we want to change this attribute index to 6 so that we can apply on mass attribute. And then we want to match the missing values to true. Okay. Now that we're done with that, so click on OK, then click on apply. We go back to mass here. You can see all these have been removed. Okay, and we can check that by clicking on edit. So we go to mass here. If you scroll down, you'll see that all those missing values have been removed. Okay, now this is not a very good approach, especially if you have a lot of missing values. Then contextually, you're gonna affect the context of your data set. So a better approach is to actually impute this missing values, meaning that we can replace those missing values with some value, and by default could be the mean or of that attribute. So let's go ahead and do this so that we have the missing values. So undo again. Then you check on mass, so we have missing values. So the last preferable method is to impute the missing values. All right. So what that means, we don't want to remove those missing values, but we want to replace those missing values with some other value, and this value could be probably the mean. Okay. So to do this, we want to again click on choose. This time around, we're going to use the attribute filter. Then we say, attribute here. Then we want to select remove missing values, right? And when you click on this, you can see here by default, we want to, in fact, if you click more here, you can see, so here we want to replace that with the mean from the training data. Okay, so by default, we're going to replace that. So before we apply, you can click on edit just to confirm that we have this missing value. So we want to replace this with the mean. Okay, so go ahead and click on apply. So we go back to mass here. You can see we no longer have missing values. However, if you go to edit here, click on this to organize that. You'll see that we have now, let's see, let me redo this again. So apply here. Yep. So we go back here. So we can see, there we go. So these 11 values, missing values, have been replaced by the mean. So if I click mass here, you can see now that's been replaced by the mean. Okay. So in conclusion, we've seen how we can detect the presence of missing data in your data set. And we've seen 3 approaches or methods we can use. We can either mark the corrupt or missing values in your data set. We've seen how removing instances might not be the best option, but we can also impute the missing values with the mean.